Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged, coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends, John Sakari.
Hello, everyone.
Erica Resnick.
Hello, friends.
Kathy Worling.
Hi, everybody.
Julie Martin.
Hi, y'all.
And back in the production nook, our producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Ahoy, ahoy.
And just a reminder, this show, along with all the content we produce, brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. If you like our content, if you like us, you want to show your support, best way to do that is support our sponsor. Book your next Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, Carnival Cruise, Royal Caribbean Cruise. You name it, we do it. DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. Okay, so last week, I told you that we had so much to talk about, right? Because there were so many stories that we had a lot to cover. And I also mentioned that most weeks, it's like pulling teeth to find something that I feel really warrants being talked about as news. This week is probably the worst week for that. I went through the list of everything.
Yeah, it's barren.
And that's a rapid fire. That's a rapid fire. That's a rapid fire. That's not even worth talking about. So I find myself sitting here live, talking to you nice people, no idea where this show is going. And I hate that, because normally I have a pretty good idea what show I'm going to do when I sit down. I have my script written out of everything I want to make sure I get to or that we talk about. And, weeks like last week, there were things that we don't get to.
Could have just said it was an audience question week.
Well, that is funny you mentioned that. Because we have Jackie monitoring the chat room
Jackie.
right now. And ask questions. Jackie will go ahead and text them to me. And that's some of how we're going to fill this hour. Because I got to be honest with you, I have a little anxiety.
I have a prediction that we're going to be pleasantly surprised and it's going to turn out to be good.
Well, let's see.
That's what I think.
Let's see.
Hello, look at this table.
Right?
It's going to be great, right?
Right? We could talk about pizza for an hour.
Well, why don't we talk about your rapid fires first while questions are coming in?
Can we do some housekeeping first?
If we want to do some housekeeping, sure.
Yeah, the first thing I want to mention is we put out the announcement yesterday over on youtube.com/Disney Dining.
Oh,
that
right.
We have, if you haven't been paying attention over the past couple weeks, you've started to see food reviews pop back up on our Diz Unplugged YouTube channel, like where you're watching this show now. And if you're a listener, then that obviously doesn't matter to you. But dining reviews are back on youtube.com/Diz Unplugged, and we will try to have at least one good featured one a week. Obviously maintaining the full dining channel, that was becoming very, very difficult with schedules, and it was a lot of just quick service and one person eating. So we want to refocus, get back on more helpful reviews where get more of the team together, try out different restaurants, and just trying to be a little bit more thorough and helpful with it. So you'll see dining reviews on here, and who knows how it will go. Maybe the dining channel will come back again one day, but for now you'll see it here, so you don't have to go searching. If you've been wondering for 3 years where all the dining videos went, they're back.
Has it been 3 years?
No, it was right around it was about, I think, March in the pandemic, right before the pandemic started. I honestly don't remember now. I can't tell you.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But speaking of dining reviews, we're recording one tonight.
Yep, Boat Rights, which I've never been, but you tell me it was good last time.
Boat Rights at one point was what I considered the worst restaurant on property. Over at Port Orleans, Riverside. It was terrible. And then, I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years ago, we went and we reviewed it again, and it was great. And I have been back subsequently to that restaurant, not reviewing it, and have had very good experiences. Now they've made changes to the menu
Yeah.
apparently.
Which could be good. Why are they changing it if it was so good?
Well, we'll see.
Alright.
Why don't we wait to do the review instead of doing it now before you've had a bite of food in your mouth?
I just don't want them to. Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Well-
Erica just got some news about a reopening.
Yeah, so this happened like right before I left to drive here. The table service in the Norway Pavilion, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't.
Akershus.
Yeah,
Akershus.
Akershus.
Yeah, that will be reopening on November 4th. And you'll be able to see your princesses again, which will be fun. There's going to be, your favorite Norwegian food. We have the article up on the site right now.
I have no favorite Norwegian food because I don't like cold beef.
They do
What
say that they will be your classic American favorites like mashed potatoes with gravy, grilled salmon, and macaroni and cheese.
Well, that's one we got to review.
And squid in its own ink.
Yeah.
I eat salmon,
Corey
so I
loves
would
that.
love to go. Yeah, but the princesses will be back, which is going to be super nice. It's another dining option where you can see princesses while you eat other than going to like Cinderella's royal table. So it'd be fun for the little ones that want to see princesses. So that's exciting. That's happening. That was one of the food news things that happened before I got here. There was another one for Tusker House and for Kona Cafe. Let me just pull it up for you guys. Over at Tusker House, starting November 1st, this dining location will be transitioning to an all-you-care-to-enjoy buffet-style dining experience. So guests can go back to grabbing as much food as they want, take it back to your table.
Tusker House is always very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they mentioned that. And then we also have Kona Cafe, which I've never been to. Only ever heard good things
How
about
can
it.
you not have been to Kona Cafe? What kind of Disney fan are you?
I know, I'm horrible.
You're terrible.
I'm terrible. Kona Cafe will be returning from its recent refurbishment on November 1st. So guests can once again dine at this fan favorite restaurant with a new, refreshed experience. The look and feel and even some flavors of this relaxed cafe have changed, but Disney promises that it will still feel familiar. So that's some of the news that we got here
All right.
regarding
I
food.
always like breakfast at Kona Cafe and that French press
I'm going to
pot.
be honest with you. I'm a fan of Kona Cafe.
Nice one.
I've had very good experiences
We've
there.
done dinner there a few times, and it's always been good.
It's been good. It's
I think I've had
good.
every meal there.
It went through the valley there for a couple of years where it was, but the last few years, not just has the food been good, some of the best service I've
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
gotten at a Disney restaurant
I'll agree with
at
that.
Kona Cafe. Everybody clamors about Ohana. I think you're missing the boat here. The real star of the show is Kona Cafe. So, all right, we're starting to get some questions in. I'll start. Tidal Wave 1 asks, I'm assuming this is to Craig, when will Off the Rails be returning?
Question. They're great. Great questions. I'm assuming
Wonderful.
Jackie sent that because she wants to know. Honestly, it's literally just a scheduling thing. And we have to have everyone here and figure out what we're doing with it. And we will get there eventually.
I mean, did you guys forget that Craig's going to have a baby soon? I mean, he's got a lot on his plate.
A little
Other than
busy.
work.
Just a little busy.
It's very impressive that Craig is going to have a baby. He's the first man in history to give birth.
I think first was Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie
Yes,
Junior.
you would be correct.
So,
Wait, off the crib.
no, listen. I would love for Off the Rails to come back as soon as possible, but Jackie's on the show. She lives in Jacksonville. Jackie didn't come home for 10 months after we left Alaska. Rhino has traveled like 16 times since then. I've traveled since then. There's a lot that goes on, and then we also have like DVC shows that happen, DCL shows that happen. There's a lot that happens, and sometimes life just screws everything up.
Yeah, it happens.
It's an excuse,
It is.
but it's what I'm working with.
Bravo.
Shrek and Donkey Slayers Gaming. That's a screen
Okay.
name. Where is the best place to see Harmonious? Disney Plus.
Yes.
Kidding. Kidding.
I mean, you're not wrong. They did a great job on the Disney Plus
They
special.
did a phenomenal job on that special, yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna always go with watch in the middle in between the two gateway shops, just because. You know, it's if you get there early enough, you have the nice ramped viewing. You're like right in the center, so you're having the best view of Harmonious. But you do have the ramped elevation, so if you're a little shorter, then maybe you can get behind someone who's also shorter, and you're a little bit higher than them. But also too, I think people overlook it as a place where you can walk up at the last second and get a spot. Because I did that just on. I think it was on the 40th anniversary of Epcot. I walked up 5 minutes before the show, and there was just so many gaps once people finally stood up and they opened up space. So that's my recommendation as always.
Another good alternative is the bridge between the UK and France. It's just a nice spot to watch it, and it usually
I
is
like
not
that
taken.
that area where they usually have the private parties
Yes,
down below the
yes,
bridge.
Yes.
That's where I saw it the first time for a media event. Or actually, it was a travel agent event, and that was I enjoyed it.
I wonder if they still have the boat. It's like $350. You rent a boat at Beach Club or Yacht Club, and you take like 12 people over and watch it.
Yeah,
It's a really good deal.
yeah. I don't know if they're still doing it,
I
but
think so. I'm gonna find
fireworks cruises.
Yeah.
I've also heard Japan is a good viewing spot, especially if you go like upstairs and overlook out into the lagoon. That's a good spot. That's what I've heard. The first time I saw it, I got a horrible spot.
Yeah, Japan was the other spot I was going to mention, but don't count on being able to stand in the balcony section in front of Tokyo Dining. People wait there for a long time because it is such a unique place to watch it. It's not like a thing where you're going to just show up and get a spot, but Japan is a really, really good spot to watch as well, too. I hate that the American Gardens Theater takes up so much space from watching, like right there, because that's all completely gone from what would be a cool center position. But you know what? Harmonious isn't going to be around much longer anyway, so
Yeah.
won't matter for
Now
too
that
long.
they've announced Harmonious is going, so many people are telling me how much they love it. Like, what?
What did I say? Hold on, cut to me. What did I say was going to happen?
I know.
When Harmonious first was released and everybody was complaining about it, and I said, you watch when they... And now, granted, I didn't think this was going to be a year later, but you watch when they announce that they're getting rid of Harmonious. Oh, I love Harmonious. I love Harmonious. And exactly what's happening. Mm-hmm. Exactly what's happening.
Now I feel like
Can't
I'm the
win for
only
losing.
one that doesn't like it. That's what it feels like.
What's that?
I said now I feel like I'm the only one that doesn't like it
See,
because
I
everyone
loved
is
it
so
from the
sad.
first time I saw it. I thought it was great.
I saw it one time, and what I saw I liked. You know how I felt about Illuminations and that ball that moves so slow.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I loved Illuminations.
Not me. See, I was the only person.
See,
No.
Illuminations.
I'm with you.
Illuminations had
I love the music, but that
Oh, I don't like
middle
the music
section
either.
with that ball was just
It's torture.
Illuminations
torture
had
for
my
me.
entire heart. That show had my entire heart.
Yep.
And I think when I watched Harmonious, I like cleared my mind of everything. But for me, fireworks shows have to make me feel emotional and moved for me to actually enjoy them. And I didn't feel that way about this one. With Harmonious, it's like, okay, like I'm at a dance party. Like, this is fun. The
think that's
music's
what I like.
nice. I feel like I'm watching music videos on these big screens. And I'm like, it's cute. It's really great for people who enjoy that atmosphere. But for me, I need to be sobbing by the end. That's just how I am. I literally told my wife the day that Happily Ever After comes back, I will never need therapy again. I will be so happy. I'll get to cry all the time
Yeah, but
and
now
feel
it's
good.
Happily Ever After. This is one of the questions we got from the Disney geeks. What does the team think about Happily Ever After returning and Harmonious leaving? Well, we just talked about Harmonious leaving. But it's not
It's not
the
going to
show.
be the original show.
It's not the original show. It's the
going to be
music.
the song. And they said they were making some enhancements and changes. We don't know what that means. I just care about the song. I play that song in my car, sob. Whole time. Just straight sobbing. Love that song. It's just hearing that song in Magic Kingdom, it fills you with hope. I would sit there on my Disney College program, and I would watch that show, and I would be like just overfilled with emotion of how like one day I can like reach my dreams and that'll be my happily ever after. I used to sit there and dream about this job watching that show.
Aw.
And I would just cry because I knew that I could get somewhere in the theme park industry of where I actually wanted to be.
See, I felt that way about wishes. That when I was looking for a house or wanting to move here, and you'd go over and, you'd like, okay, Disney Magic's going to take over and I'm going to get my house and all this stuff's going to happen. The happily ever after, it's okay. I think it was Craig that told me when that came out, that's for younger people. I think.
Sounds like something Craig would say.
Yeah, I basically still feel that way. Like I love the
It's
entire.
not for you, Kathy. It's for younger people.
Those two shows hit differently. I love Happily Ever After. Think it's a beautiful show. I've never been a huge fan of the anthem, which is what most people love about it. I love everything that happens between Jordan Fisher and the other girl that I will never bother to remember her name. I love everything between when they're singing. But yeah, Wishes, I felt like that's not to offend people. Wishes can be enjoyed by all ages, and Happily Ever After can, but Happily Ever After did reach a different demographic than I think Wishes did.
And I'll be honest, I was one of those people that wanted to chain myself to the castle because I didn't want Wishes to leave. I was that person because I had a tradition with my family. We watched Wishes. I always went right under the line. I had to see Tinkerbell. It was a thing. It was a whole experience. And I was like, they can't take this away from me. And then Happily Ever After came, and I was like,
Okay.
they can have it.
So I think, yes, the anthem does mean something, but it is the way they put it into the story.
Mm-hmm.
When they do, you can fly, and all the stuff starts to go up. And then Tinkerbell comes out, and the story comes alive, and the fireworks burn. If they don't keep that crescendo, I will be devastated.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been moved by fireworks like you guys have.
Oh, really?
No.
Even with Tinkerbell there?
No,
Okay.
it doesn't do it for me. I don't know why.
Julie is where magic goes to die.
Everybody's therapy in
We
Disney
thought
is
it was
different.
Craig. We thought it was Craig was where magic went
No,
to die.
Julie
But no, it's Julie.
I don't know. Fireworks just don't do it for me. Not even with the music. I get moved by movies. You guys know I'm a huge Disney movie fan. Like, I can't get enough. I will watch them over and
But
over.
with the projections
and I
now-
will bawl when I hear Remember Me. Like, I cannot watch that movie without sobbing like you do with that. But maybe that's because I've been touched by death so many times. But, like, that is what gets me.
Okay.
I think it's what Disney tries with some fireworks shows. They try to hit that level, but movies are literally meant to be
movie.
like, yeah, they're meant to
Movie.
be overly emotional in ways. It's heightened reality. I mean, unless it's a documentary and then it's real life. But the entire, like, every single movie out there is some sort of heightened emotion, whether it is comedy, drama, whatever. And that's why more people can cry at movies and such than even
I think
real
my
life.
brain is too rational for fireworks because I'm watching them. I'm going, geez, this is a lot of smoke. Gosh.
Wow.
But see, I came from, like, we would go to the beach on the 4th of July, and we'd get that primo seat, and you go, oh, look, fireworks, boom, boom. And then I came to Disney, and they
What
do,
happened to these people?
and then Disney, you come to Disney, and you walk out of there, and you feel like inspired, you
Oh,
know.
okay, good.
You could wish, and you could dream on fireworks. It's like
I don't
I'm
care
forever spoiled.
whether I'm standing in the middle of Main Street or I'm over at the beach in the Poly. Watching Disney fireworks shows, they're special.
Oh, yeah.
Do I get emotional? You know, did I get emotional watching the fireworks on the 4th of July at the beach at Ocean Grove? No, I didn't. Mainly because it sucked. But as far as, Disney fireworks, there's a real level of artistry that goes into those. Between the music and the way it's timed to the fireworks and the choice of which fireworks they send up, and I don't know. It's incredible. But
No, I
okay,
agree.
I'm getting blown up with questions here. Went from feast to famine, or from famine to feast, in a matter of moments. Shydra, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Shydra Maples. Do you think Minnie's Christmas or like Mickey's Christmas party, fireworks, dessert party is worth it. I don't think any Disney dessert party is worth it because the desserts are, what's the word I'm looking for? Terrible.
They're bland.
Okay, they're basically made for Instagram, and it would taste better if you printed out the Instagram picture and ate that.
Aren't you the one that said it sucks the flavor out of the food?
They have a flavor vacuum
Yeah.
that they run these things through, where it sucks the flavor out of it, and then they serve it to you.
I agree.
Whether that's done in the moment or that's done ahead of time, I'm not sure. But the flavor is definitely sucked out, and that's what you're left with is some gooey mass of tasteless sugar. They're not worth the calories. They're not worth the guilt. They're just not worth the money. That's my opinion.
It's also time that goes into those parties. Yeah, you're getting a reserved spot out of it, but I would say just, if you really want a good view of the fireworks, if that's what's important, just camp out and get the spot that you want and go with that, because at the Christmas party, you're going to be eating cookies and hot cocoa. You're gonna get your fill in other ways. You don't need desserts on top of it too.
Or hot cocoa inspired hot water. Or excuse me, hot cocoa inspired lukewarm water. Their hot chocolate hasn't been good for a long time.
Oh no, I
thought it got better.
in a different video, I think I just complained about. I don't like hot cocoa made with water. It has to be made with milk for me, or like just straight chocolate. And I don't even like chocolate that much, but yeah, gross.
I know, right?
I know, it's sad.
Sad.
Very sad.
Now it's
My
we're
husband
back
doesn't
to-
like chocolate either.
Who?
My husband.
Really?
All right. Susie Buchanan, with more restaurants reopening, do we think the dining plan might be on the horizon? No.
No.
No. Remember, the whole idea behind everything Disney is doing right now is to make it more expensive, to discourage more people from going. The dining plan, they lost money on, but they were stuck with it. They couldn't get rid of it. They couldn't get rid of it. If the dining plan was to come back, it would be so astronomically expensive that no one would buy it. So, not unless three ghosts visit Josh tomorrow in the middle of the night, is the dining plan coming back. I don't see it happening. Jeff Snook, did Pete ever book either of the Trans-Pacific cruises? Yes, I did. I will be doing Honolulu to Sydney and a Sydney Short Escape ABD in October of next year.
Those sold out quickly.
They sold out like that.
Yeah.
They weren't exactly cheap,
No.
but I mean, it's such a unique cruise. And again, Disney Cruise Line has a following. Mm-hmm. A lot of loyal people want to do something new, something different, because we've been to the Caribbean 187 times. We want to try something different. And especially that it's going to some of those islands in the South Pacific. That has me really excited. So I'm very excited about it. Pete, what deluxe resort would you recommend for a group of adults who have never been to Disney World? Would love your advice for a first-time trip resort. Adults, first time at Disney. I'm a big fan right now of Riviera.
Exactly.
I'm a big fan of Riviera. You've got the Skyliner going right into Epcot. You don't have to deal with a lot of nonsense. Epcot is probably going to be the park they're going to want to spend the most time in. Riviera also has a great elegance to it. And you don't need to be a DVC member to stay there. You can rent points. DVCRentalStore.com is one of our sponsors on our DVC show. DVCRentalStore.com, you can rent DVC points out and quite frankly save quite a bit of money. We actually have a show coming to this channel about that in the coming weeks. I'm not sure exactly when, but
Whenever you want it is ready.
Whenever I want, it's ready now.
Tonight.
It's not up. Nope. So I said
be out
now, and it's
tomorrow.
not up. Actually,
it's literally
Panda
a click
wanted,
away.
because I didn't have anything to talk about, Panda's suggestion was that we put that show up instead of this one. I'm like, the villagers would riot.
Just giving a suggestion.
So my suggestion would be Riviera. Any of the Epcot resorts,
Boardwalk.
Boardwalk
Yeah.
in particular,
I
of
was
the
thinking
ones
that.
around Crescent Lake, Boardwalk is my favorite.
There's just lots to do, you know, and especially if you like to drink. I mean, there's definitely lots of options to do that. You have Hollywood Studios, you have Epcot, you can walk to
Abracadabra.
them.
Yeah, even the options that are there at the boardwalk are really awesome.
And Boardwalk being a DVC property along with Beach Club, you can rent points to stay in a one-bedroom villa. It depends on how many adults you have going. Get a one-bedroom, you have a full kitchen. And right there at the Boardwalk. Same thing over at Beach Club. So that would be my recommendation. Let's see what else we have here.
Must be a good one.
Lots of choices.
I contacted Dreams about a Star Trek cruise by Royal Caribbean and was told they couldn't book it. Can Pete explain why? Probably because it's a private cruise. Probably an organization has chartered the ship, and you have to book through them. But that's the best I can tell you.
It's a little specific.
Yeah, it's a little specific. Are Boma and Stephen Weatherman, are Boma and Tusker House run by the same culinary team? I do not believe so, because Boma at Animal Kingdom Lodge is run by the food and beverage department at Animal Kingdom Lodge, whereas Tusker House is in Animal Kingdom. That's run by Theme Park Food and Beverage. So I don't believe they're the same. I'm sure they swap recipes because there's a lot of similar things on each menu, but I don't believe they're the same team. Flying Fish or Steakhouse 71 for Christmas Eve dinner, from Emily Stein. Also, non-park things to do when staying at Boardwalk for Christmas. Flying Fish or Steakhouse 71? Flying Fish. Flying Fish. I love Steakhouse 71, don't get me wrong. But it's been inconsistent as of late. I've been hearing a lot of people telling me that they've been having experiences not as good as what they heard in my review. And I've given that feedback to their management that we're hearing it, but I'm still hearing it. And so if I had to choose for a Christmas Eve dinner, that's a special dinner. I don't want to run any risks if I'm doing something like that. So Flying Fish is your safe bet, because that's, I don't have to say arguably anymore. It's the best restaurant on Disney property. Been there 3 times in the last 3 or 4 months. Every single time. And they have no idea who I am when I'm there. Like if Chef Tim is there, which I never run into him, he would know me. But the staff doesn't know me. That review was so many years ago. So it's not like I'm getting anything special. Incredible. Incredible. If I have to impress somebody, if I want to do a dinner where I'm impressing someone, I take them to Flying Fish. I take them to Flying Fish. That would be my recommendation. George Thomas, I'll ask this to the table. Do you guys agree quick service has gotten much better? When we are in the park, we don't even need the sit-down meals anymore. Do you feel that quick service has gotten much better?
I think it's still hit and miss. There's some quick service that I think is great, and some that I think is still not good. I haven't felt a change personally.
I agree with you. As someone who uses quick service a lot, there are some that are getting better that I enjoy, but I don't think it's everywhere. I think some places are better than others, and they're just growing upon that, and some places just haven't been getting better. I went to Starlight Cafe not too long ago. Not getting any better.
Yeah.
My
And
burger.
It's been like that forever.
Yeah, the Impossible Burger or whatever burger they have that's plant based, supposed to have like avocado on it, and I was so excited. It's supposed to have all these different flavors, and it tasted like cardboard. And I was like, this is probably one of the worst plant based meals I've had on Disney property. And I just really hope that one day it does get better, but that place is always packed.
Yes.
Always packed. So I feel like there's such a high demand. It's hard to probably focus on each food item to make sure that it's perfect, but there are some that are getting better. So I feel like it's very hit or miss when it comes to that.
I mean, to counter you, I had the best burger I've had at a quick service recently at Cosmic Rays. It was the Halloween one.
What?
Yep. It was their regular standard crappy Disney burger, but then it was topped with pimento cheese and andouille sausage, and it was incredible. It was so flavorful. I mean, a lot of that was coming from the cheese and the sausage,
Yeah.
but
Craig loves pimento cheese.
it hit so well. And I think that's what's happening at a lot of Disney's quick services. They're trying to focus on having like one or two standout menu items, and then the rest is pretty much just
Garbage.
in line. But here's the thing. Ultimately, with quick service, has the quality gotten better? For sure in some areas, but it will never replace the idea of a table service meal where you
Yeah.
get to sit down off your feet for a while, have someone take care of you, and potentially be in a cool environment as well with it. A quick service is what it is. It's a place to get nourishment and quickly and get on your way to do everything else. So if you go into it saying, I want this quick service to be as good as the table service, you're not going to get that. Just go for your table service.
Look, if you go into any quick service establishment expecting table service quality, then you need to have your meds checked, because it's quick service. It's not supposed to be table service quality. But, for all the complaining about quick service at Disney World, about, the statement, Disney's quick service is bad, has SeaWorld and Universal saying, hold my beer.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I agree.
That, although I will say, I did Howl a Scream at SeaWorld a few weeks ago. And first of all, could not recommend it more. Could not recommend it more. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Somewhere between Disney and Universal. Somewhere between Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and Halloween Horror Nights. Although they're trying to rip pages out of Universal's
It's a different
book.
feeling. It was more
But it was
relaxed.
more charming.
Yeah, charming, absolutely.
It was much more charming. But we were doing their VIP tour, and that included a dinner, which was in one of their quick service locations, and I had a chicken sandwich. That was pretty damn good.
Pretty good.
Do you know which one it was? Do you remember?
No,
Was it by the front of the park?
I think it was towards the front.
Is it the one that has the bar connected to it?
oh, I don't know. You're asking me. My blood sugar.
Because
There's
that one's a good
bathrooms
one.
Connected. And
I had
inside
forgotten
and
to eat.
outside.
I had forgotten to eat that day, and had taken my meds. Mm-hmm. And I was walking around the park. My blood sugar started plunging. So they were just about getting me in someplace fast and getting some food in me.
It doesn't. I love Hallow Scream for when I did it last year, but if you don't know SeaWorld, like the back of your hand with Hallow Scream, when they block off certain sections that you can walk to, and it's a very weird path you're taking, you don't know where the heck you are.
We had a guide.
Well, we had a
Otherwise,
guide.
We didn't know where
Yeah.
we were at all.
We had a guide. And I will also say the best theme park entertainment performance I've ever seen in 25 years of doing this for a living. I saw that night. Was it the Graveyard Stomp?
Monster Stomp.
Monster Stomp.
Yep.
Monster Stomp.
Graveyard Stomp actually sounds a little better.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. It was a level of entertainment you don't see. You don't see in theme parks. It's a level of entertainment you don't see in a lot of places. but in particular theme parks. So I couldn't recommend Howl. I know that wasn't the question, but I couldn't recommend Howl of Scream enough.
You know what I miss at Disney World is being able to go to the different resorts and eating in the food courts. Before the pandemic, you used to be able to just pull up and say, hey, I'd like to go in and have lunch or visit the gift shop. And now it's like, no, not unless you have a reservation. We used to go over to Caribbean Beach and have something there, or, go over and have a piece of cheesecake.
I know there's still ways to do it, but you have to invest the time on the gondola and all that.
It's a bigger hassle now, and it's like, okay, if you don't want my business, then that's fine. I'll go somewhere else.
With that, you kind of had to take the Corey Martin approach to life, and his mentality is if you act like you're supposed to be there, they will let you be there, and so
I
roll up.
I thought you were gonna say, don't ask for permission, just ask for forgiveness later.
I mean, that is also his mentality.
It's also a strategy.
Yeah. But no, it's.
I didn't know I couldn't be here.
The places that he's just walked into and hung out in for times, and no one's questioned it, just because if you act like you're supposed to be there. I mean, that's what you roll up to those guard booths with, authority, and just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go have some food. It's depending on the guard. I would say I only get turned away like 9 out of 10 times. Because I'm honest, I'm going to get food.
You're both pretty charming, so you're going to get your way eventually.
Okay, there's a lot of words used to describe Craig.
And my husband. I say you're both charming.
Your husband is very charming.
Craig knows how to be charming if he puts some
charming?
alcohol in him.
I don't know that Craig Williams and charming go together in the same
I think
sentence.
Callie would agree with me.
You don't want me to be charming at work. I need to be about work while I'm at work, and I save the charm for after work.
Oh, so in other words, in all these years, I've never seen it. Just
I don't know.
You've been going out of your way to make sure you were not charming in my company.
I'm about being efficient in your company.
Well, that you do amazingly well. That you do amazingly well. All right.
Port Orleans French Quarter, they allow it for the most part. I roll up and I'm like, hey, I just want to get some beignets, and they're like, go ahead, you can park, go inside. They've still been really nice about that. They let you stroll in there. At least the guards that I see, and I'm always like, hey, I really just want to grab some beignets. Go ahead. I'm like, oh, thank you so
I'll
much.
have to try
At
it
least
again
there.
then.
Some places are very strict about it, but like French Quarter isn't attached to anything.
Right.
There's not like a place you have to make a reservation for there. So I think they're a little more lenient there than at other places where they have direct connection to the theme parks, or, more, I don't know, like fancier restaurants and stuff. But there, it's just easier to get in. It's a nice little place to hang out too.
Yeah.
Love that place.
I like just going over and sitting in a resort and soaking up the flavor and the atmosphere. And
It's peaceful.
All right. Robert Spaniolo, I think I'm pronouncing your name right. What about Tables in Wonderland? It's gone with the dining plan. They were talking about getting rid of Tables in Wonderland before the pandemic. So the pandemic was just the excuse they needed to put a bullet in it once and for all. They're not interested in helping you save money on restaurants. In fact, they want just the opposite. They want you spending more. So I do not, and I could be wrong. What do I know? Just my intuition tells me Tables in Wonderland is not coming back. If you had to pick one, Wilderness Lodge or Animal Kingdom Lodge?
oh, that's
hard.
easy.
Is it easy for you?
That's
Go.
easy for Kathy.
Yes, Wilderness Lodge.
Wilderness Lodge, why?
Because when I walk in there, I always feel like it's my good for the soul resort. I come out of there with a certain kind of feeling. Now, maybe Animal Kingdom Lodge is not my thing, because I used to be able to see those kind of animals when I lived over in
She's
Africa. So
Oh,
it's like,
yeah. When I lived in Africa, I didn't get to see that stuff.
you know,
I didn't know you lived in Africa.
Yeah.
3
Yep.
years.
Okay. Well, yeah, you have a reason then.
Yeah. Which one for you?
I would agree with Kathy, only because I do not enjoy a lot of the food at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Really?
Yeah, We've talked about this
Magic
before.
really does side with you, doesn't it?
I'm super picky about what I eat. Like, and not just for health reasons. Like, I just don't like a lot of things. It's like, I don't like Boma. I don't like Jiko. I am not a fan of African food. I've tried, guys. It's just not for me. So Wilderness Lodge would be better for me because I could eat.
Okay. Panda?
I'm going to say Animal Kingdom Lodge almost all of the time because I love the resort. I do like the food. And I like knowing that there's the animals outside that you can go see. But if it's Christmas time, has to be Wilderness Lodge. Because Wilderness Lodge with that fireplace and Christmas time, it is the quintessential Christmas for me.
Okay. Erica?
I 100% agree with you.
Yay.
Because I just stayed at Kidani Village not too long ago, and I loved it. And I went to Boma, tried it again, actually had a really good experience. And I was like, okay, so now I love the food here. I love the ambiance. And I'll never forget a time in college where all I wanted was s'mores. And I went there, walked out. They were making s'mores. And you can make your s'mores and just look at the animals. And it's such a beautiful experience. But if I'm looking for something nostalgic, I'll go to Wilderness Lodge because I love that area too. Whispering Canyon's one of my favorite places to eat in the whole world. So good.
It is good.
So to me, those resorts are both tied. It depends my mood. It really depends.
Okay, so we effectively have 2 votes for Wilderness Lodge, 2 votes for Animal Kingdom Lodge. Craig, which one do you say?
For me, it used to be Wilderness, but now it's Animal Kingdom Lodge. I just think that's more unique. I don't know when in my life I'm going to get to Africa to stay in a lodge like this, if it even exists there, but there are a lot of places out there where you can recreate a lodge experience like Wilderness Lodge has. I know it's also about the food and the fact that it's at Disney, but spending time going to national parks over the summer and getting that feel from a lot of places, Wilderness Lodge doesn't feel as unique for me anymore, where Animal Kingdom still feels like this. You get this at Disney. You don't get it very many other places. So AKL for me.
Okay. So we have 3 votes for Animal Kingdom Lodge, 2 votes for Wilderness Lodge. The correct answer is Wilderness Lodge. I love them
I
both.
wouldn't think you would choose that.
Me either.
I love them both. From a DVC perspective, I prefer the DVC rooms at Animal Kingdom Lodge. But if we're just talking all things being equal, Wilderness Lodge has a special place in my heart. It has a special, special place in my heart. So you got 3 votes for one, 3 votes for the other. Go figure. Go figure. What are the team's thoughts on this year's Halloween Horror Nights? Well, Erica couldn't say anything to you about that because she chickened out at the last minute.
So, okay, I was supposed
Blah,
to go.
blah, 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 blah. Because we did a VIP tour, right? I paid for a VIP tour. I invited Erica. She was going to come until that
Okay,
morning.
well, I
I'm
woke
too
up
scared.
having an anxiety attack, and I was like so physically ill with the thought that I was.
It's
gonna
why
be
Jesus
scared.
invented Xanax.
He was trying to give
I
me
told
one.
her I'm trying to find Josiah.
But I
really
was
did.
like, I was nauseous,
call
and
me.
then all of my chronic pain like just showed up, and I couldn't move, and I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Okay, don't ever invite me because I won't go either. I've been one time in 2001 with Brian Barley. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
Yeah. And
God
Corey.
rest his soul.
Yes, and Corey. And I believe there was someone else with us. I'm not really sure because I was so horrified and traumatized by the whole experience that I was mad at them for making me go, for taking me. So yeah, I don't like horror. No.
Craig, what are your thoughts on this year's Halloween Horror Nights?
It's okay. I'm underwhelmed by a lot of it this year.
Okay, so I wasn't alone
No.
in that feeling because that's kind of how I walked away from it.
There are some really good and beautiful houses, and there's some good food if you seek it out in the right places. But it's just going every single year, year after year after year after year. I love the fact that they still change it completely every single year so it doesn't get stale like the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. But this year, it's just, there's a lot that just doesn't speak to me. But it happens.
In terms of set design, sound design, Universal's not to be beaten. these houses are unbelievably elaborate. But having done, we did Halloween Horror Nights this past Sunday. We did Howl or Scream at SeaWorld the Sunday before. So like I can do an apples to apples comparison. I walked out of Universal saying I prefer SeaWorld. I preferred that experience. I thought it was a lot more charming. First of all, it wasn't nearly as crowded. Oh my God. The crowd on a Sunday night, which is supposed to be their slow night, you could barely move. There were so many people. And so they're overselling the number of tickets for this event.
100%.
I'd rather see them raise the price and cut back on the number of people.
See, I mean, that's hard. From my perspective, I don't ever go and do Express. I do the VIP tours on the very first night with media because that's how they get us around to the houses to film in them. But this year, I've had the best luck with waiting in shorter lines, and the crowds haven't been terrible for me. But it's also, I go, and when I'm done doing the things that I actually enjoy, I get out of there. So it hasn't impacted me as much.
Howl or Scream makes me want to get my annual pass again at SeaWorld.
Do it.
It makes me want to get my annual pass again. I had one for a while, and then just because I didn't go over. But I felt like the houses weren't as elaborate. It was only the second year for SeaWorld doing this, and the houses weren't as elaborate, and clearly the budget. There's a budget difference between what SeaWorld is spending on theirs and what Universal is spending on theirs. But still had a better time. Still had a better time at SeaWorld. Look, if the haunted houses freak you out, you're going to be freaked out at either one. But if the crowds freak you out more than the haunted houses do SeaWorld. Do SeaWorld. Just my opinion. Let's see what else we have here. Boy, we're burning through this hour. This is great. We have to do this more often. Has anyone done a DCL cruise in Europe? Yes, I have. Any other questions?
Did you have fun?
Did they want more details or just wanted to know if you went?
Well, that's the extent of the question from
Did you enjoy it as much
Kylie
as-
O. Has anyone done DCL cruise in Europe? Yes.
Moving on.
How easy is it from Jenny Gem? How easy is it to do a split stay between Disney World and Universal? It's about as easy as pulling out your phone and calling an Uber. That's really all it is. And I was just having a discussion today, did an interview with CNN this morning. It's for the print, it's for the website, not for television. But which I made Craig come in early to produce it because I thought this was going on TV. Found out like an hour before time it was audio only. But it was still nice to talk to you, Natasha. We were talking about this, and more and more we are seeing people do the split stay thing between Disney and Universal. And I'm like, again, I have a particular perspective from Dreams Unlimited in terms of looking at our numbers and where reservations are soft and where reservations are booming. And I got to tell you, Universal is booming. Universal is doing gangbusters. And I'm even hearing it from DVC members. That they're using their DVC points to stay at Walt Disney World, but then they're driving up to Universal because they don't want to jump through all the hoops of making park reservations and everything else. And they're finding Universal, because you don't have to make park reservations at Universal or SeaWorld. You can just kind of show up. And you can also buy annual passes at these places, which Disney you can't. And what Disney doesn't realize is that people still want to come to Orlando. If they're making it less inviting, there are 2 other players in town that are more than happy to welcome them. So really, doing a split stay is just a matter of choosing how many days you're going to spend at Disney, then taking an Uber and going up and staying at Universal. Unless you're a DVC member, then just rent a car. Or even just Uber back and forth. It's not that it's not that long a trip. It's 10, 15 minutes up I-4 to go from Disney to Universal. So, what are your thoughts from Diana Warburton? What are your thoughts on park reservations? Are they here to stay? My son is there now, and he said he has never seen it this crowded, especially in the Magic Kingdom. I miss the spontaneity of no reservations.
I was at Epcot yesterday. Crowded. A mess. Don't know if I only realized it because of, like, it had just rained, but there were so many people just congregated, sitting places. You couldn't... It's literally a Monday, and I can't walk through World Showcase in peace. So I don't understand why we still have the reservation system. Like, I know they're using it for their numbers to figure out what they need to do. That is exactly it. But they don't care about the crowds anymore. They're just trying to use it for them to see who's coming, what money they can get out of people that are coming to the parks, because it is crowded. Crowded.
The only purpose of the park reservation system now is data, is analytics. That's it. It is not about controlling how many people are in the park. They're not doing that. Here's the other thing I want you guys to remember. We talk about, because that was what the topic of the CNN interview was, about price hikes and how people are responding to them. They do these price hikes and everybody loses their mind and we complain and it's terrible, it's terrible. Look how crowded these parks are. Look how crowded these parks are. They're going to keep raising the prices. They're going to keep raising them. And if the stated goal, which has been stated to me by people, if the stated goal is to raise prices to discourage some people from coming so it controls crowds, it's not working.
Not yet.
So they haven't raised the price high enough yet to actually have that happen. So we are going to see much more. In fact, I think take a look at the last 2 years. Take a look at the price hikes. Take a look at the nickel and diming that has gone on. And take a look at that. And then inject steroids into it, and you're going to have the next 2 years. Because I believe they are sincere that they want to control crowds by with pricing. I believe that is a sincere statement.
Well, it didn't take them very long to raise Genie Plus that they went, oh, now it's going to vary. And it was less than a week, and it went from $15 to $22.
Yeah.
And you can't say October. Like, when I think of busy, I think like Christmas. I mean, I'm sure October is busy too, but it's like, geez, right off the bat. So what's it going to be come Christmas time?
And I can't comprehend what it's like with a family of 4 trying to afford that.
We don't.
It's insane.
I've also seen families like trying to, I guess, like work around the issue. There are people bringing their own food into the park. That's what my family used to do when I was younger. They're like, here's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you're fine.
More people than I've ever noticed, I will say that.
So many.
And I haven't been in the park that many times in the past year, but when I have noticed that.
They
And
bring out
I've
the
even
book
seen
bag.
people at Disney Springs. I've been there a few times in the past couple of weeks, and with their own food at Disney Springs.
I just think it's sad because, like, when I think of the first time I went as a single parent with 3 kids, I didn't have a lot of money, but we still managed to do a lot of things at Walt Disney World that I didn't come out of there going like, oh, but if I would have just had this much more money, I could have done. I had a very fulfilling, experience. So we kept coming back. I think what's going to happen, or I'm afraid, give it 10 years, 15 years, and families are going to go, we're not going to Disney World anymore. They've priced us out. There's going to be a whole generation of kids that until they grow up and decide to spend their own money, they might never go to Disney World.
Yeah.
And that's sad. I mean,
That's what Disney's hoping for.
To a degree.
But I mean, I went.
It's short-sighted, to be sure. It's a short-sighted strategy. This is going to backfire on them in 10, 15, 20 years. In terms of the people, you have a generation of kids that are not going to have grown up with Disney World because their parents couldn't afford to take them. And they're messing with that.
Yeah.
They're messing with that.
I mean, I was 42 before I finally got to go to Walt Disney World. And we went to I was dragged to Walt Disney World the first time. And we went, because we'd had family members who had died. And we went, and it was a perfect place to go. My kids had never been exposed to Disney either. And look, out of my 3 kids, 2 of them ended up working for Disney because of the experience that they had. What's going to happen 10, 15 years from now? How many cast members do you think became cast members because they came to Walt Disney
World?
A lot of them.
But
That's what happened
lot
to
of
me.
them.
They do have to control it, though, because it was starting to get out of hand. And the pandemic, I think, made it even more out of hand with how many people were coming. But the trend was already there that things were getting more and more hectic at Walt Disney World prior to that. And I don't have a problem with the park reservation system. I mean, yes, it still does sell out sometimes for certain parks, and that's frustrating. But anyone who ever thought it was about having capacity limited, it's not about that. They still want the park.
That was the introduction of it. It was about COVID.
And yes, it was. But now it still is. There's only a certain level that the parks can get until they're at capacity. And Disney still wants it there. Like, they still want people in the parks. Anyone with a brain understands that it's still about that. So if there's no more reservations because that park is starting to near a potential capacity, like, yeah, it's going to be busy going into it. So I would rather them tell me on a form saying, hey, it's busy here. You might want to look at one of the other parks and it might be a little bit more manageable for you. So I do appreciate it from that aspect. And the other thing I'll say about Disney is it's for Universal people, they've already understood it. Universal, you go there. If you're staying at one of the 3 premier hotels, you have unlimited express. Your life is wonderful. But the price of express is out of control in terms of what it costs. Baseline $150 per person starting gets up into $300 during the holiday season. So for Universal, you want to skip the lines during the busiest time of year. You're looking at $1,200 just in express for a family of 4 on top of your theme park tickets as well too. So Universal, I feel like people have already been accustomed to realize like you could end up spending a crap ton of money, but you also have the option of just not doing that and just dealing with lines or trying to get in the premier hotels. So Disney people also
I think you kind of skipped over, you kind of buried the lead a little bit with that it's part of the value of staying
It is.
at one of Universal's deluxe hotels. This only applies to Portofino Bay, Hard Rock, and Royal Pacific. But you stay at those resorts, your room key acts as an express pass. And just with this particular audience, I'm not sure they're aware of that. I wanted to make sure we clarified that.
Yeah, it can never be said enough. And you know what? Those hotels, there are stretches where it's hard to get those because people want that perk now. They love it. And
I never used to have trouble booking a room for my sister when she was in town over at Portofino. Never. Could not find a room anywhere at Universal this past week. Couldn't find a room anywhere. So Universal's doing gangbusters.
Yeah.
Universal's doing really, really well.
yeah, and I'm not trying to tell people like just deal with what Disney's doing, but I see the logic behind it. Do I think it's fair? No, it's not fair, but it's also they gave us a lot in the glory years. They gave us stuff like the Disney dining plan and free dining and free fast passes and all this stuff. And they had to start course correcting on that because it got out of control. And unfortunately, when it comes to nostalgia, it's very hard to quit. We say it's a drug all the time. It is a drug, and it's hard to quit Disney. And will they have an issue, getting more people addicted in the future? I don't think they will, because it's still a bigger business with Disney Plus. It's opened them up to even more.
If people can't afford to go there, then there's no chance of them getting addicted to the parks.
They can afford, they just might not be able to afford it like they wanted to before because, as always, off-site's an option, staying, and...
Yeah, but you're talking about a gray area. From my standpoint, my standpoint, this usually seems to be a pretty black and white issue. For people saying, I can't afford it, I'm not going. That's what they are... they are cutting out a segment of the population that are not going to take their kids to Disney, that are not going to indoctrinate the next generation into the theme parks. The reason all of us are sitting here on some level is because of that indoctrination. Mm-hmm. Whether it happened to you at 42, at 26, at 10, birth.
My first time was 9 months old, so
we are
the indoctrination process requires that you actually go to the park.
Oh, I know. We are also a very specific elite fan group in that way, and there are still levels of people who, like, I grew up going every other year. I wasn't that all the time thing, and then we took a break and did other vacations. I still got it in there, and if we would have only came 3 or 4 times total in my entire childhood, I still think I would have been able to figure it out. And Jolie just said she only came once and she still had it to an extent.
That was it for me.
Oh my
So-
God.
I didn't come back until I was 20.
5 and 16, 5 and 20. Wow.
Yeah. So I think there's still a level of indoctrination that you can get. It doesn't have to
Books,
be...
movies, music. That's where mine came from after before visiting the park.
Right, but the parks
Yeah.
are a very different experience. You know, to have nostalgia around movies and music and things like that, much, much more accessible.
Well, you're right. Because,
The
like,
cost of entry into that
Yeah.
is not nearly what it is to get into the parks. And I think that's why they are being short-sighted with some of these policies, that they're not thinking about what their business is going to look like 20 years from now. Or at least their theme park business, what that's going to look like 20 years from now.
Well, they came out with an annual pass discount today for the first part of January through April. And I went through my list of clients. I didn't have one person who had an annual pass, which is sad.
Wow.
Which is sad. I mean, you know, on discount release days, I'm pleasantly busy saving people money. And it's like, again, there's a whole bunch of people, you know, when people would say, well, you know, Disney's going to cut back on discounts. Well, they sure did. I mean, they offered an annual pass discount, but who has an annual pass
Yeah.
nowadays?
Yeah, that's true. That's sad.
Yeah, it is.
That's sad. I was talking to somebody the other day who, you know, and I've had this conversation, I can't tell you how many times, that during COVID, they let their annual pass lapse. And they regret it so much now because you really can't get one. I think there's one pass that's still available,
The Pixie Pass, or
the weekday pass, or whatever they call it,
For only Florida residents, too.
for Florida residents, is the only one that's available. It's another group that Disney has decided they don't need, our annual pass holders. But okay, we are actually past time. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question, but I think we'll do this again because
Yeah, a Q&A.
super fun.
this is a nice. This was very, very, very nice. I really appreciated your questions. We appreciate your support, following us, staying with us all these years. Always appreciate you guys. But that is going to do it for this week's show. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another episode of the Diz Unplugged. Have a great week, everyone, and stay out of the damn lakes.